probably should email him before, because that could get,
Mr. Haggard
He did.
is prepared.
and I was like, I did, and
It's
I'm
not gonna be like a
because I email
policy
him all the
update
time.
or anything.
No. Yeah.
All I think about is, I saw the office space and the TPR, right? TPR.
Oh, yes.
You have your TPR reports turned in?
Yes.
That's what that reminded me of.
Yes.
Called TPR report.
Cover letter? Cover sheet?
Yeah,
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
yeah, I'm gonna need you to stay in, work.
They said make it.
She's just right.
This week, Friday. Yeah.
What?
It's a charity deal, yeah.
Who is it? You?
Megan,
Me and Megan.
I'm next year. Me and Andy are next year.
No one so far, not on good.
Yeah, for the next 3 days.
Save us some money.
No, you ain't. Turn around.
Yes,
Go home.
yes.
Go home. Yeah. How you start your here? Slow clapping to get us
A
going.
little Rudy or what?
I know.
Are you allowed to start early? Just making it awkward for Megan.
Oh, yeah. We try to find you the best one here. That looks like a good one.
He didn't care. He just handed me.
Well, we'll have to go through that. If we found a good one, we'll have to change those out.
Right, yes.
Miss Donaway, I will ask you real quick, was your husband not on that deacon list? They bring in everybody else. Is your husband not on the list?
Yes, we were out of town.
Oh.
He's there.
Deacon Vaughn's over there though.
I know Deacon Vaughn and, I mean,
Clay.
Deacon Vaughn, are you being a good role model back there?
Yes, sir, he's doing great.
He looks at Buddy like,
Deacon Vaughn's doing
I
something
know, I
back
was
there.
gonna
Yeah.
say, he's got,
All right, you ready?
Students, yes.
both of them are red, so.
Yeah.
There it is, back here. Change it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege that we have to come tonight and to, we have the privilege of looking at our school district. Lord, I thank you for everybody that's in this room that has a love and a special place in their heart for Wylie ISD. And Lord, we pray that all of our actions would glorify you, Lord, that you would guide us, that you would direct us, that you would point us in the direction that we need to go as we guide the district. Lord, I pray that you would be with each student, with each teacher, with each administrator, with each person that works in our school district, Lord, and keep them safe. I pray that you would just be with them in a special way each and every day. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you have roll, perfect. This is our part of the meeting for open forum. We invite you to speak, but just a reminder that we cannot provide feedback or answer questions. Okay, I think you have.
The
Is this it?
resolution.
Yes.
Were you
Mhm. Yes.
wonder- Yes, so
Yes.
we have a resolution. This is a special month. Mr. Bacon, you may want to stand for this resolution.
Would you like to say anything?
Oh, no,
Okay.
I just,
Okay.
going over to transportation, I know there's months for a lot of different things, and so this was kind of special, through the national organization is Love the Bus Month, so just trying to love on our bus drivers and our mechanics and our routers for all the jobs that they do behind the scenes, a lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights, so I just want to give them some recognition for all their hard work, so. And then
Okay,
you got a little school bus there to kind of remember the school bus
Okay.
drivers from, so.
okay. Love the Bus Month 2026. Whereas the yellow school bus is trusted and familiar, a familiar symbol of public education and student safety across communities nationwide. And whereas school buses comprise the largest form of mass transportation in the United States, safely transporting millions of students to and from each school each day. And whereas research consistently shows that the yellow school bus is the safest mode of transportation for students, carrying approximately 26 a million children daily. And whereas yellow school buses are designed and manufactured to meet stringent federal and state safety standards, and school bus drivers receive extensive training and ongoing preparation to protect the students in their care. And whereas the yellow school bus provides equitable access to education for students in rural, suburban, and urban communities, including students with special needs. And whereas student transportation supports educational opportunity by enabling participation in academic programs, extracurricular activities, field trips, and school-sponsored events. And whereas the use of school buses helps reduce traffic congestion, improve roadway safety, and lessen environmental impact by decreasing the number of individual vehicles on the road. And whereas the professionals who plan, manage, maintain, and operate school transportation systems demonstrate daily dedication to student safety, reliability, accountability, and service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Wylie Independent School District recognizes and values the essential role the yellow school bus plays in education and in the life of the community. And be it further resolved that the Wylie Independent School District hereby proclaims the month of February 2026 as Love the Bus Month and encourages students, families, staff, and community members to join in recognizing and appreciating the contributions of our school transportation professionals and the vital service they provide to student and well-being success. Thank you.
Good job.
Okay. Is there anything else? I know.
Yeah.
That's a lot of words.
I feel like I proved to y'all that I can read.
Barely.
Barely. Okay. So we'll move on to item A, approval of minutes. Did everybody get to look over them? Anything? Okay, then we'll approve them as is. And now we'll move on to the bills.
Okay. Starting with our January 2026 check register, just a few items. I wanted to point out our payment to communities and schools. We pay that each semester, and that was our second payment for the year. So that was a total of $164,000 for the whole year for that service, which we still find great value in. And Mr. Light and I were even talking about the numbers again. It still just, it makes sense for us, and it's great. It's been really good. So moving on to our payroll for January, we're at $3,159,000 for that payroll. And then last thing I wanted to point out was we did have a payment to Taylor County EMS. That is a payment we do every year for the services they do at the football games. So they kind of have an hourly rate depending on, of course, how many home games and everything we have. And so we did get that paid in January. Any questions on bills? Okay. Moving on to our bond statement of activity. This is for January. At the end of December, we had $132,456,000. And then during January, our activity totaled $3,975,000, leaving $128,481,000 at the end of January for bonds. Questions there? Okay. Moving on to cash balance. December 31st balance is $40,425,000. In our investment accounts, of course, at Lone Star and First Financial, we were at the 3.81% earnings there. Just a reminder, of course, this is December's cash, but we do have bond payments going out here in a few days that total about a little over $9.2 million in those payments.
On the Prosperity Custodial account, when are we gonna move all that over?
It pretty much is moved. We just need to make sure, actually, I moved some of the last few things beginning this month, the smaller ones. We just have so much outstanding and so we've got to take the time to try to make an effort to reach out to those and make sure that's kind of one of those to do long.
I just didn't know if there was a time frame that we had to have all that moved over.
Not necessarily have to, but yes, it needs to be done.
Okay.
But that's the last of it.
Yes,
is
ma'am.
Just covering those out. We're not
Yes,
writing anything off of it or anything like
Okay.
that, so. Okay. Expense report. As of December 31st, we had spent 35.61% of our overall budget and expenses with an accumulated balance amount of $20,061,887. That 35% is still under where we were at this time prior year, so that's still a good trend. Same with our revenue, we're still in trend to, we were ahead of where we were last year at 59.12%, and that was $33,304,629 in our overall revenue for this year. Any questions there? That's it.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Conducting a public hearing on our Texas Academic Performance Report.
Yes, ma'am, I'd like Mr. Haggard to come up and give you some information regarding the paper.
Each year, we're required to do a public hearing to discuss the Texas Academic Performance Report, which I'll refer to as the taper for the rest of this presentation. You got a copy last week, and there's one in your board book. It's a detailed 34-page report, so I provided you with a summary sheet. I placed it in front of you, so you might be able to find that and locate that. The summary sheet's divided into all the categories and sections that's within the taper. Our administration takes this taper annually, and they look at the information, and we determine a growth plan. What do we need to do? A plan of action. What do we need to do? We got two options: continue doing what we're doing right, and determine where we need to make improvement, and we look at that as well. Fortunately, I get to always come before y'all and say that we're doing a lot of good things, so we don't have to make a whole lot of changes. And I want to commend, brag on our administration that's sitting right here. The leadership that they provided allows me to show you the achievements of our teachers and students that's in this report. So kudos to all of you ladies and guys. You do a great job. Goal tonight is to do a very quick overview of the taper, and so I'm going to go over each one of the sections and give the pertinent data from each one of those. So we're going to start out with star performance. This is page 23 of your board packet. Also, it's page 3 of the actual taper report. I'm going to refer to those numbers at the bottom of the pages. So on pages 3 to 11 is star performance. This is information that we've already covered earlier when we got our star and our EOC scores. A lot of positive data in there. This is domain 1 of the A through F accountability system. Basically what you see is a lot more detailed bit of information. It's the stuff that you saw originally over in the first 4 columns. Then it adds the ethnic groups, the special ed, economically disadvantaged, and the emergent bilingual information. I always like to compare our scores to the state and the region, because that's apples to apples. I know the report shows 24 to 25, but I think the true comparison is how we're doing with our peers across the state. I always get to tell you, ever since I've given this report, every test, every grade, we always outperform the region and the state. And we do that because we have very high expectations of our students, and they meet those expectations. I did put on there is one exception to that. I think we've already told you this year. Our 7th grade math students have to take the advanced math students take an 8th grade star. Districts had 2 years to make that decision. We made it this year. So our scores are being compared to school districts that did not make that decision, so those scores are skewed. I think you'll see next year how we really match up with our peers across the state. Just want to make a note of that. When we do our taper, we...
I'm sorry, I had a really, is that the 7th graders that are the ones that, like, now everybody, you try to track them? Is that what you're saying? There's not, the ones who are now in all advanced, is that what you're saying?
It's our 7th grade advanced students.
Okay.
We've
So how many is
identified
that?
them.
Because now y'all,
What number are we looking at, junior high principals?
Because now they're pushing it, I guess.
In the
that's
advanced
what-
math?
It changed in 6th grade, like 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
The state said we need more
Right.
advanced kids, so they
Mhm.
told us like a percentage of our kids that needed to go in
Right.
to 6th grade advanced math, which has grown the numbers. Then in 7th grade
Mhm.
advanced math, which then I
Right.
think the idea is then to grow the numbers in 8th grade algebra.
Mhm.
But I guess we're on year 2 of that.
Of that, okay.
But we do monitor those kids. You know, there's some kids in the old system that would not have qualified for advanced, but we're told they need to be
Right.
in advanced. And
That's what I was
if a parent-
wondering.
If a parent says, no, I don't wanna do that, or rarely do they do that, they want them in there. But we do monitor them and make sure that that's the right spot for them.
Our identification didn't match up with the states. They recommended many more students.
But it has grown our advance numbers.
Another thing that's required when we do the taper is to cover our House Bill 3 board goals. That's the goals that we set for our third grade reading and our third grade math and our high school CCMR. So if you see that on there, we're very proud to tell you it's third grade. If you see the meets grade level, not the approaches, but the meets grade level, you see that our students scored 75% in reading and 66% in math, which means we've come a long way since the COVID days. When we set our goals, which we reset last year based on previous scores, we scored 12% higher in reading than our goal and 7% higher in math. So we're very excited about that. Kudos to Mr. Boone and Mrs. Christian on those scores, and the elementary principals and their staffs are getting students prepared before that. So very excited about those scores. School progress over on page 12 and 13. I put the term encouraging data there, and the reason I'm so encouraged about that is we're excited because in the A through F accountability system, it's a system made up to where you're only held accountable for domain 1 or domain 2, domain 1 being student achievement, STAR performance, or student growth, school progress. We're always a high achieving school district, so we're always falling to domain 1, but our scores show that our students are doing an outstanding job in the student growth as well, and I think that's why our A through F accountability, especially on specific campuses, was much higher last year. So I want to brag on that. A good job. School progress, pages 12 and 13. The domain 2 state accountability system is what we just talked about. Under accelerated instruction at the bottom of page 13, TEC 29081. That's a new law that went into effect here that I have to go before y'all and report on how we're doing accelerated instruction. So if you look at those scores, you see that we're doing very good compared to our peers across the state. So these are our students who failed the STAR, and we have to put them in accelerated instruction. And I appreciate all the work our principals and our counselors doing that, getting that schedule, because that's not an easy task. But it looks like we did a great job because our scores are once again outperforming our peers across the state. STAR participation, page 17 and 19. We had 100% participation. That's the first time that's ever happened. Of course, there's changes now. We don't do the 1 day of testing. We have the windows because it's online, so it gives us more opportunities to get those kids tested. But we've now set a precedent, so our goal for now is going to have to be that 100%. Over on the second page, attendance, graduation, and dropout rates. This is page 20 and 23. This gets a little bit confusing because our report's the 24-25, so that's last year's grads, but once you get to the remainder of this report, it lags 1 year. So now we're talking about the class of 2024. And you can see our attendance rate for 2024 class was 95.3. That's very good. Dropout rate was less than 1%, so we're happy with that. Graduation rate was 95.3%, and then it gives you a total of 95.9%. The reason that changes is you have students that don't graduate, but they go and get their GED, so those numbers are added in there, so that's why it's a little bit higher. Also, if you notice on your taper, there's longitudinal rates of graduation. They track these students for 6 years, and the reason they do that is because the number that I just showed you of the 95.9, over the next few years, that can actually go up because kids can take GEDs. Some students even re-enroll and go back into high school if they're the appropriate age. And so it doesn't change drastically, but it does change a little bit. And the last thing I'm going to talk to you about, our graduation plans. One more place where we have high expectations for our students. We require our students to graduate with 2 more credits than is required by the state of Texas. You can see our graduation plans. 76.7% of our students follow the Distinguished Achievement Program. That means they have to get 26 credits. And then the other 23.1% do the foundational high school program. They have to get 22 credits. So we like to show that a large number of our students are doing the distinguished plan. I've asked Reagan to come up and go over the CCMR part for y'all.
He asked me that because it's the only place we don't meet our goal. So,
No, this is a place where you can see it's the most improvement needed. It's the place where they've moved the goalpost several times, but that is the same for every school in the state of Texas. So that's not an excuse that we're making. It's just somewhere that we've got to be a lot more intentional. And if you look at the comparison from year to year, there is increases, and that's just putting eyes on it, being more intentional. For the class of 2024, we are at 74%, where the goal is 77%. And so that is about 20 students to get across the line on that. If you remember CCMR, to be college ready, they have to score high enough on a college entrance exam, which could be the TSIA2, the SAT or the ACT, and where our kiddos really struggle is math, which that shows from COVID years too. And so even today I'm running current reports, and they've TSI'd in English, but they haven't in math yet. And so that's really where we have to target our focus for college ready, for career ready. It's those IBCs, and that's where y'all have heard me talk about that. Every year, the state has changed it and narrowed the playing field where it was you just need an IBC, and that checked the box, and then it became you need to be a completer in a program of study and have an IBC, to you need to be a completer in the program of study, and the IBC has to be in that very specific program of study. And that just takes a lot of education and coaching for our teachers, counselors, students, and families, in a place that we need to continue to grow and get better in that. And then military ready is whenever they tell us that they've enlisted in the military, and they provide documentation for that. Some things that we've done to improve is we've had the Workforce Solutions Senior Advisor who actually follows those kids, and so we're getting more reports back whenever they enlist in the military. And then the encouragement, we started offering those college entrance exams on campus more often also. One thing that other school districts have done, and we didn't do, we have a college prep course, but it really is more for the high achieving students to knock out those SAT and ACT scores to get into those schools. It is not a remedial college prep course that the state gives credit for. And so that's something we're gonna look at. Actually, the state has not approved one, so if the state doesn't approve a math one, those will go away for everyone across the state starting next year. So we're watching for that. I have more about current CCMR, but just know that that is a place that we have a really heightened focus in. We've invested, Mr. Light, and thanks to y'all, we've invested dollars into that with programs to help us track it, where we're not tracking it just with a simple Excel spreadsheet any longer. And I can share more, but I had that in my principal's report. Y'all have questions about that? Okay.
Thank you, Ray.
That's not the reason I chose her. I chose her because she knows the CCMR inside and out, and I can't commend her enough on what she does with that program. The remainder of the taper is student and staff data and information. I think it's self-explanatory. Does anybody have any questions about the taper report? Thank you.
Okay, now we'll conduct the hearing.
Public
Yes.
hearing?
Mhm. Yep.
So with the,
Any feedback, questions? Okay, all right. Consider calling school board elections.
yes, ma'am, so, we've talked about, filing, deadlines and so forth, and we've given you that in the past. Also, part of the process is, at this point, we've got to call for the election, and, in the package, you have the contract with the Taylor County. If we need to have an election, that will be a cost of $23,283. And so we've got to complete this contract and get that back to Taylor County by when? Tomorrow. So we'll do that.
Make a motion to call school board election for May 2nd, 2026, and approve contract with Taylor County Elections Office to conduct the election.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, school calendar.
Okay, we have also shared information with you regarding the calendar. Let me just say, this is probably slightly different than what you have seen, and let me just make a couple of comments on it. As you know, we have this year had some early release days at the end of 6 weeks, and we looked at our number of minutes that we're required to have and the number of days we were attending, and we felt like there are several options options that we could look for with these early release days. Some of those are into a 3 weeks period. A lot of things happen for our staff on 3 weeks and 6 weeks. And then, the games that are, the weekends that we have, a lot of our students leaving early out of town. We also have a lot of staff leaving early out of town. So, you see in September, the 4th, 11th, and 25th are all early release days. And let me just say that 4th is the Lubbock Monterey ball game in Lubbock. The 11th is friendship game on the road, and the 25th is the Lubbock Coronado game on the road. So those 2.5-hour trips require a lot of kids missing, whether you're in band, football, the cheerleaders, not bells, thank you. And so we got a lot of folks going to these, and so as we talked about that with our advisory committee, they understood the value in that. We did a poll with our staff, and it was important that they felt the same thing, and so we felt good about that. So this is the calendar that we're presenting, and if you have any questions on that, it is August 4th is our start for staff, and we'll be through before Memorial Day, so that's always a
When did we start this year?
We started on was it the 3rd? What?
3rd or 4th.
About the same time?
It was a Monday.
But you said that the staff overwhelmingly approved the earlier one, right?
The earlier start, that is correct.
Yes.
They wanted to start earlier, which surprised me. I really thought that they might want to start on the 11th. That would have put us getting out on the 28th, or the graduation on the 28th of May, but it was about a 60-40 split is what we had, so.
And one of these early releases has staff development, but y'all have them in it.
Okay, that's right. So, thank you, Bella,
Yes.
for
I feel like
reminding
that's
me.
kind of a big deal.
In the
'cause-
past, we had always said if we had an early release, that we needed our staff to be there for the full day. Now that we have the minutes and the days, with the way we've got it, we do not have to require that. So it's gonna be truly an early release day
For
for
everybody,
everybody.
yes. I know.
Sure they'll like that.
Yeah, I think it's great.
This is super random, but can you remind me again, how many days are we allotted, like, for bad weather days?
So-
Before we have to apply for that?
So are you kind of talking about the current situation, or
Yeah,
just how
just
we
just
build
how
the
it's,
calendar?
how it's been, because I know during Snowmageddon that week, we had to apply for that waiver or whatever.
That is correct. So what you do is you build in 420 minutes for a day, for a bad weather day. We're required to build in 2 of those, so that's 840 minutes. So anything that goes beyond that, there is a waiver process that we apply for, and basically, if you have it documented that there was good cause for you to be missing those days, then they will grant those.
Okay.
So that's been our experience in the past.
Couldn't remember.
Anything else? Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the 2026, 2027 school calendar.
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
Let me make one other comment.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I meant to.
We already approved it.
It's too late.
Moving on.
When we play in Lubbock and Amarillo, those are multi-high school stadiums. And so sometimes we play on Thursdays. We don't know that yet. If we happen to play on a Thursday, that early release day, we're gonna shuffle to that earlier day.
Yeah.
Because that's the purpose of that early release day, so we don't have a bunch of staff missing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So just
So
let you
we're
know.
we're at their mercy to let us know whether it's a Thursday or Friday.
And Coach Fetchy, remind me, you said that they usually won't give us that information.
What they told me they would know by April,
Think
which
so.
sounds crazy, but they got a lot of things to figure out. We do do know that there's a possibility with those games, we could be a Thursday. We could have no Thursdays, we could have up to 3 or 4, depending upon how it shakes down.
That's crazy. That'd be rude.
I think
Yeah.
we'll know sooner than April. I think you just said that so people would stop asking them when they were gonna do it.
I'm sure.
That's not me.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Lott.
Okay, moving on, library materials.
Mr. Hagg.
This is the third time that we've discussed the purchase of new library books since Senate Bill 13 was passed. Just a reminder, all school boards across the state now are responsible for approving all books that go into public libraries at schools. Tonight, we're asking for the approval of 931 books. These books are being requested by East and West Junior High, both of the intermediate campuses in the ECC. We've met the requirements that's put upon us by the state. We've posted it for 30 days for viewing for our community. We also sent you a link last week for you to have an opportunity to view it as well. Just to remind you also that our librarians do know it's their responsibility to pick these books, and they take that very seriously. They're very diligent in selecting these books. I know Ms. Greeno's here again. She's been here every time that we've asked for y'all's approval. So once again, we're asking for approval of 931 books for our school libraries.
I make a motion to approve the 931 books. What else do I need to say? Is that good?
That's it, yeah.
I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Hold on, they're good.
Resolution regarding Senate Bill 11.
Okay, part of the legislation this year required us to make a resolution by March 1st regarding the daily prayer period. So Mr. Vaughn has done a lot of research on that, and I'll let Mr. Vaughn.
All right, Senate Bill 11 did add Texas Education Code 25.0823, which allows the school board to adopt a policy that would require every campus to establish a designated opportunity to have a time period for prayer and reading of the Bible or other religious texts for students and employees. The legislation does not require that the board adopt the daily prayer period, but it does require the board to adopt a resolution by March the 1st on whether or not to have the designated time. After reviewing this matter, it's our recommendation that Wylie ISD should have a resolution that does not adopt a policy of designated daily prayer period. Here's our reasoning. Basically came up with 4 reasons. Under this policy, consent is required for students to participate in the designated prayer time. This would create an added challenge for each campus to get the required consent forms. The second thing, the legislation specifically prohibits participation unless consent is received. This potentially places administrators in a situation where they would have to deny participation in the designated prayer time. Administrators would potentially be burdened with the responsibility of ensuring that non-participating students are not coerced into joining the prayer time. So you can think of, kids coming fresh out of Sunday school and in Christian doctrine is to go and tell and invite, be a part of this. And so then you get into what's the difference in coercion and invitation. And so the administrators could potentially be placed in a position to try and make that determination. Then finally, legal policy FNA is already in place that protects students' rights to voluntarily pray or meditate on an individual basis. So they are free to do that on their own will as it is. They have that protected right. One side note, I spoke with Steve Post, who's the Assistant Director at Region 14, and to his knowledge, nobody in the region is adopting a designated prayer time period.
So essentially, any student-led organization that does things on certain campuses, any kid that is a part of that would have to get approval signed, administrators have to verify that, all that stuff. And it would really limit,
Well,
No.
if it's student,
No.
some of the things like student-led, if
That's
they
volunteer
choose,
basis.
Yeah.
if they choose to do it, that's on a student basis. But if we designate,
Yeah.
in essence, if we designate a prayer time as a district, we gotta monitor it and regulate it.
okay,
And right now, the students are free to do that
Right.
on their own.
yeah.
So it's like, so in essence, I don't know if this is exactly correct interpretation. Basically, it's kind of taken out of the students' hands and we become in charge of it.
That's right, okay.
And so we're recommended that we not do that.
And it's not just
Christianity.
Christianity,
No,
is that correct?
no,
Am I
that's
saying-
just an example I used.
Yep.
If we designate 9:05 as the required time, any religion
Correct,
would have opportunity.
yes.
And if said students don't participate, administration has to figure out what to do with them.
That would be correct.
Okay.
Or if said students chose to participate
Don't have a
but didn't
consent.
have the forms in, then
They
we're,
don't get to
expected to
participate.
pull them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if said students, we got word that they were coerced into participating, then we'd have to figure out some way to handle
Sure.
that. So we see a potential
Does
mess
the
here.
state put a time limit? Is
Uh,
there a
I did
requirement
not-
on time?
I did not
Of
see.
that period?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
I thought I don't wanna, that was something you looked at a lot harder than I did, but I thought it was, it did have a,
I don't remember that.
Like a
It
true
may have, but
25-minute time period or,
or longer. And that's the other thing, how do we fit this into the day? There are a lot of issues there. As we talked about it, we just felt like it was a little more restrictive than what we've already kinda got in place, and we don't wanna be restricted with that, so. Is that kinda fair as well?
That's- we feel like the students, as it is, have the freedom to do that at their own will, in their own way. And we just feel like that
it's not broke.
it's not, yeah, it just doesn't feel like our place to regulate that.
And I would say, I hadn't looked at it as much as Mr. Vaughn has, but I would say in the future, if we, as a board, you determine that, hey, we've changed our position on this, I think you as a board can change your position on this in the future. It's not like you never have the ability to go back if that's what you decide as a board, so.
Not that I'm a lawyer or educated in that route. How does this fit in with the whole separation of church and state federally?
Well,
How does the state of Texas get past
the
that?
state of Texas says they will defend any school district that has a resolution to have this daily prayer time. It's interesting, because we have seen a lot of court cases that have gone the other direction. But again, the state of Texas says it will defend it. Now, I have not, at this point, seen that come up. There's a lot of lawsuits out there, but I have not seen this one take place. I think a lot of the school districts are making this choice this month. There have been some that have taken it prior, but the ones I've heard about that took it like in January, they chose not to have the time. So I think we'll learn a lot in the next year or so about where this law fits in the courts.
Sounds like a lot on the administrators. That's a lot on track.
Just a little side thing, and I didn't weigh on this too much because these ministers are not in our area, but there was a deal that we received that over 200 faith leaders from all different faiths, Jewish, Catholic, Baptist, all different faiths, they were consistent in the recommendation that school districts should not designate this. Like I said, I didn't see any names of our local area ministers. They're more, I would say, probably the bigger cities area, but there seems to be a pretty good consensus that, hey, maybe this wasn't such a great idea.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Thomas.
Mr.
Thank you, Gil.
So do we need to make a motion not to?
That's right.
Okay.
It's
A
kind of an odd,
resolution, yeah.
it's an odd statement.
You are
but
approving
this
a
is
resolution.
the one we
I make a
Yeah, you'll
motion,
vote.
I make a motion that the board approve a resolution not to adopt a policy requiring every campus of Wylie ISD to provide a period of daily prayer time and reading of the Bible or other religious text as provided by the Texas Education Code 25.0823.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Everybody? Yes? Okay. All right.
Okay, as we have continued to move towards completion of South Elementary, we've been in contact with TxDOT from the very early stages. And the Texas Department of Transportation has asked that we approve a resolution that basically says we are going to use the right-of-way, that we're gonna put this deceleration lane in, and that we pay for all improvements, including engineering and so forth. So this resolution actually came from TxDOT. They gave this to us, and so in order for us to have that deceleration lane and then all the proper striping and so forth on 707 in front of South Elementary, we've got to approve this resolution.
The Congress is finally passed, it's all in caps.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I make a motion we approve the resolution that Wylie ISD will fund all the engineering, design, and construction costs to complete a local on-system improvement project for Wylie South Elementary.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, consider approval of resolution for school marshals and SRO.
Mr. Besson?
Okay, following the tragic school shooting in Uvalde, if y'all remember, House Bill 3 was the legislation that came out of that. Representative Burrows authored that. And one of the directives in that we played a little part in helping develop was that all school campuses would have assigned trained armed personnel there. School district police officer, school resource officer, school marshal, commissioned peace officer, or existing trained employee. And that's changed a little bit after we had House Bill 33 in the last session. We can talk about that later, but for some reason of the 1,200-something school districts we have in the state of Texas, not all of them understood that directive, evidently. So TEA came out with a policy requiring that all school districts adopt a resolution that they would have an armed person at every campus, just like House Bill 3 said. And so our resolution reads, Wylie Independent School District will assign at least one school resource officer or one Texas school marshal per each campus during regular school hours. This resolution is to meet in compliance with House Bill 3, Section 37.0814. It's very simple.
And we've gotta have, this is one of the few times we ask every member.
To sign it, and I have to submit the minutes, the agenda, and everything to TEA on the Sentinel website.
All right, we need a motion on this? All right, make a motion that Wylie ISD will assign at least one school resource officer or one Texas school marshal per campus during regular school hours.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weston.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Consider recommendation regarding compliance with Senate Bill 546.
Senate Bill 546 is referring to seatbelts.
What's up, Ricky?
There we
3-point
go.
seatbelts.
Good evening. Yeah,
Mr.
learning a
Baker?
little bit about seatbelts. So, try to give you all the information ahead of time in the packet, but just Senate Bill 546, Texas School Bus Safety Law that moves the state again, even with visiting with Mr. Besant. I think this has been going on almost since 2010 with Ashley's Law. So, then it came back up in 2017, and now it's coming back up in 2026. But pretty much moving the state towards all school buses having 3 points seat belts. and ask the districts to be transparent about where we are right now in that process. So, tonight, it requires us to report what type of seat belts are on each bus, referring to either no seat belts, lap belts, which is also 2-point seat belts, and then the 3-point, and what those costs would be to bring those buses up that do not have those up to par and the state standards. So they are requiring, at this time, just like anything else, they required it in 2010, 2017. Now they're requiring it by September 1 of 2029. But it seems like they're trying to get some more information on the cost. So we're trying to play a guessing game on retrofitting versus replacement. So retrofitting, there's the cost there. If you have any questions, I try to break it down by percentages. So we have approximately 57% of our fleet that would need this either retrofitting or replacement. And those are the costs. I provided that in the board packet as well, those costs from Bucks. There's really only one person or one place that's even looking to even do this. And so you magnify that across the state. There's gonna be a long waiting list, so I don't know how that's gonna be, anybody's gonna be able to comply with that for the most part. And then the other part would be to replace all the buses, so that's just a lot of money there as well. The only thing I would point out is I try to give you up-to-date information on what we are currently. We did order those 4 new buses previously, so that would drop down that number, but that's not the time. I had to report in real time, and so, but technically, when those buses come in, we would be down to 47 of those buses needing, which is not gonna just make a huge dent in that. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're gonna do. So we just need to confirm financial feasibility if we think, or you think as a board, that that's the direction we want to go, is either trying to retrofit those or replace those. If you think that's the way we need to go, then we'll try our best to do that and get that done. But if not, we make that resolution that at this time, we don't think it's financially feasible to do that. And then Mr. Besson and I will submit that documentation, the board minutes, and all of our estimates to the state so they can provide hopefully those funds to us, or more than likely possibly a waiver, and kind of seeing where they go. But I think in my opinion, just doing the research, they're just trying to figure out who is even trying to comply with this. Districts that aren't trying to comply with it, that keep buying buses with 2-point or used buses, things like that. So I think
this may
that's
sound
it.
like a really dumb question, but, because so what's gonna be the law in actually making these kids use them?
That's a great question. Yeah, because as a bus driver,
Like in a normal, like if I'm driving, my kid doesn't have their seatbelt, I get a ticket. You know, is that gonna be something that I'm picturing all these kids wearing these seatbelts. We're spending $9 million and.
Exactly. You think about the long trips on activity trips, how many times you see those, they, after a game, are they gonna be the first thing to kind of stay in a seat for 2.5, 3 hours? And so I don't see that's the older kids. That's gonna be kind of hard to do. Even on route buses, not having monitors on the buses, to ensure that the driver of that bus obviously is responsible, but if that, as soon as they get them all buckled on, what's to say that kid's not gonna unbuckle it right when they start and the bus driver's driving, so, but they have that option, obviously there for them to wear it.
I'm assuming all the brand new buses that are being built have that.
Correct, yes, from here on out, and we've been doing that since, I think, that's what we were looking at. As I kind of put in order from least to greatest, we were a little bit ahead of the game, like in 2016. That's our oldest bus. That's kind of when we started that whole process of, all of our older buses. So, going into the retrofitting, why it wouldn't be a good idea to retrofit, if you want to hear those, would be obviously the long waiting line. But my main concern would be the warranty. I provided you the corporate letter from Bluebird, which is the majority of our buses. And so obviously that voids any of the warranties. And so my thing is, you get only one person doing the bus and all these retrofits. What is the quality? If they're trying to speed that process up and just spit them out, I just think the quality of that, and I really don't want to be liable for, anything to happen with, putting 3 kids in a seatbelt they have to brake hard. The torque on that, them having to replace the floor, I mean, who knows? So it would end up on us in the long run as well, versus just purchasing new buses from here on out is what I would recommend. And then kind of see what the state says as we go forward, because like I said, everybody in the state's pretty much in the same boat at our level.
There's no way.
Anybody want a partner to be, go into business?
Yeah, exactly. It might be a good side gig if you know, definitely a need for
Ag
that.
department.
So, the two things I figured out is retrofitting school buses would probably be a good idea to go into, and maybe working on elevators. So I don't know, it seems like you can't find anybody to do that.
So
But-
say it one more time, your recommendation would be what?
My recommendation would be to replace them as we go from here on out
Okay.
with seatbelts. Yes, sir.
But it's,
And-
they're asking
and-
us tonight to see if
Yeah.
the budget allows.
Yeah, and
Yes.
so really,
Yeah.
this was a strange requirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This requirement was that we report this
Right.
information
Correct.
to you.
Yep.
And we basically say, do we think that our M&O budget would be able to withstand that? The answer is no, but you're not actually making any decisions now. You are just saying, we received the report. Is that correct? That's
Mhm.
correct? Yeah.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
do-
it's worded, the way it's worded
Yeah.
on here.
Okay.
No, that makes sense.
Motion to approve report presented regarding compliance with Senate Bill 546.
I'll second.
All
So
in
wait,
favor? Oh.
we only heard it.
Yes, we only have.
Okay.
Approving the
I'm-
report.
I'm making
Determining
sure
that
we-
It's not
It's
fine.
not sufficient, our M&O budget is not sufficient.
Yep. That's why it says,
Yep.
the way
This
it was
report, I
reported.
want it.
I want the record.
Did you get a second?
Okay, need a second? Okay, all in favor? Okay,
Thank you, Mr.
thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Bacon.
Bacon,
Okay, HVAC controls.
Okay, so as part of our bond projects, we have been replacing our HVAC controls. We started with the West Elementary, West Intermediate, and West Junior High this past summer. And we are going to move to the high school. That will update all the controls in the older buildings. We did put that out for proposals, and those came back to us on January 20th. Johnny Rose is here tonight. If you have any questions of Johnny, he'd be glad to answer those. But the winning proposal was from Bacher Mechanical in the amount of $272,000 on this project. This is also, part of this is running new cable to every one of these. Do you call it a device, Johnny, or every?
It'll be a device, whether it's a motor, valve, damper, control will be updated.
So the rooftop units all have a control, everything with the chillers has a control, everything with the air handlers has a control, so it's a pretty complex process. But we are trying to get this done early enough. If you remember, this year we struggled getting all those completed by the time school starts, and we feel pretty good about starting at this point, we'll get that done.
Yeah, once we go ahead and get the signing of the contract, I'll contact them tomorrow so they can go ahead and start ordering the equipment. That's usually the longest lead time, and the company that's doing here, they're also doing our BOAG and they're also doing our annex building, so they're real familiar with the high school itself, so they will just basically hit that thing pretty hard. One thing I did stress to them is I don't want them around the kids at all. You know, so they're gonna be working after hours, or they're gonna be working in mechanical rooms that are away from all the kids and stuff.
So this is gonna start this, like while the school year is going on, not necessarily a summer I mean, I know it's probably gonna go.
Well, some
through
of
the
it
summer.
will be,
Yeah.
I mean, in areas like the second floor mechanical room, I don't know if any of y'all been up there, but it's a huge room that has a lot of air handling units, has pumps and, boiler and everything else. They can work in those areas because there's no kids in those areas at all. And then we have several mechanical rooms out throughout the campus that they can work on also. And then they can, of course, be on the roof to run some wiring for the rooftop units and stuff.
Okay, remind me, I feel like this is a you question, and I don't remember, I feel like you told me this, but I don't remember. Is this replacing all the things that we did, that energy saver that we did on that?
Well, now that,
'Cause that
so
was-
that's kind of a program.
Right.
And it was designed specifically for, at that time, the train
Okay.
controls, which were failing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
This makes sense, okay.
yes, that is
It's
correct,
replaced,
what
okay.
you're saying, that they are replacing those.
Okay.
The biggest
So-
problem we have right now is the train controls are antiquated.
Mhm.
It's like anything, after about 10 years or even 15, you can't get parts for them anymore. If you do, they're really high. And the fail rate on them is really high also. So even if you get replacements of a panel, a digital panel, whatever, nobody warrants it anymore. You know, you can put it in and all of a sudden, a week later, it's gone. It burns out and then you look at it, what happened? They go, it's no warranty. It was a secondhand panel, you know.
But that note was paid off.
That's correct.
Okay.
We more than paid
Right.
for that system.
Okay.
Still, Johnny hears me kind of whine about that a little
I
bit
know.
because I thought it was a really, really good system as far as energy savings. But, as we continue to work with the controls, we're gonna, as a matter of fact, we had this discussion with them about everything from as, simple as what time do you start everything? So if you've got a bunch of chillers and if you start them all at the same time across the district, that really heats our peak demand, which changes our cost on our utility bill. And so, the energy savings part is gonna be something that we continue to chase. But this right now makes sure everything we have is functioning properly. Now, I will say, we're still continuing to work through some issues. We even had some today. It got warm in a classroom at Lisa's. And so we are continuing to tweak those things, try and get them right. But they're like anything mechanical.
Yeah.
They will fail.
On the ways I explained to a system is when you replace it, it almost takes a full year to shake all the stuff out of it. And nothing works right off the bat. I mean, I don't care if you've got the best contractors, there's always something, there's a bugs in there somewhere. And we just have to work them out.
Awesome. Okay, thank you.
But this approval of this would make sure working towards our high school.
I make a motion to recommend the proposal be awarded to Batcher Mechanical in the amount of $272,000 for this project.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. All right. A resolution nominating a candidate for, the Central Appraisal District.
Yeah, the Central Appraisal District had a board member resign, and, of course, they need to replace that. They asked us to, nominate Mark Hoover, who has been on the, Central Appraisal District Board previously, and he would just, complete that unexpired term, and then they will replace him in 2027.
Board approves resolution nominating Mark Hoover to fill the vacant position of the Board of Directors of the Taylor County Appraisal District for the remainder of an unexpired term ending December 31st, 2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Items of information.
Who's the secondary folks? Mr. Eminence, coming from the back row.
Sorry, I came from Jeanette. I was watching girls basketball. Our seventh grade A team lost, but I think all our other teams, we were 1-1 when I left, but I think our other two teams lost. We finished up basketball tonight. That's a little ahead, but we played, the boys played the East. I think last week we split, went 2-2, but this week we got them back and won all 4 of them, so. And we played, the girls and boys all played last week, splits and all that stuff, so it was good stuff.
Play us 3 times.
Yeah.
Back up to the student count. We actually added 3 students today, so we're at 1036. Moving on to lead classes. They're going into doing their peer tutoring with 5th grade students and classes and 6th grade classes. They're doing that every Wednesday. Our Unified Bulldogs, we had 3 teams compete in the regional contest, which we actually hosted at the PAC. It was pretty awesome to watch. And that's our Unified Bulldogs for our functional academic students, and they're also paired with lead students. And we had 3 teams compete. 2 of them qualified for state, which is actually going to be this week in Austin. And I think Mr. Lott might be driving them down. And so we're excited for them to go do that and be a part of that. They have a leadership training on Thursday, and then the actual robotics competition on Friday. So looking forward to that. I'm going to jump down. If I go over something, or you have any questions, feel free to let me know. We did celebrate our National School Counselors Week last week. We couldn't do it without our counselors, so thank you to all our counselors. And Mike put out a thing about our counselors and picture for all of them. So that happened last week. We actually were chosen, I think, out of all the schools in Wylie, we were chosen to do 2 field tests last week. So we did that in 5th and 6th grade ELAR, and that was just a field test for the state. We are working on getting prepared for course choices for next year. That's already started. Our TMSCA will be starting this week. That's our math and science competition teams that will start their competitions this week and moving on into March and April. I'm going to skip over band and choir. Jumping down, we talked about basketball already. We're going to hit spring sports coming up the track: tennis, golf, swim, soccer. Theater production of Annie Jr. They did a great job. I don't know if y'all were able to go out and watch that, but really excited and proud of our theater students.
Twice.
For that. Well, there you go. We did host our Wylie West Junior High Spelling Bee last week, and we crowned our champion, which is Soraya Titus, which was our champion last year. So she's won it 2 years in a row, and she came to us from AISD, and she won it as a 6th grader in AISD. So she's won 3 years in a row in the regional. So hopefully she can win and move on to possibly going to DC. 8th grade parent meeting is going to be the last thing I talk about. That's coming up on February 19th. That is an opportunity for our parents and students to go to the high school. It's going to be at the PAC to receive information about high school courses and options for their 9th grade year. And then also this year we're going to provide, I think it was 15 CTE booths that are going to be set up to talk. They're going to be teachers and students to talk to our 8th graders coming into high school of opportunities to take CTE classes. All right. Any questions?
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Doug.
y'all.
Thank
Thank you.
You ready for DC?
I'm ready for DC. That's on there too, but I wasn't gonna talk.
All right, guys. A lot of things that Mr. Amonette talked about. We're doing some of the same stuff. Lead students are with their littles. They're also going to Miss Christian's class or her campus to see some littles down there, which is pretty awesome. Our TMSCA is starting as well. We celebrated our counselor, Miss South, last week. All that stuff, some of the stuff he said. Also, the CTE, we had a big meeting. We've been talking with Miss Berry about this for a couple of years, but we are going to have a new CTE course. It's called Principles of Human Services next year. Some of our current courses are changing to be more aligned with CTE. We're going to have a Principles of Informational Technology. Our speech class is now going to be called Professional Communications. Our CGRI is now Principles of Applied Engineering. So we're just getting more aligned with actual CTE courses, and we're real excited about that. All of our formal T-test evaluations have been completed. We're going to do STAR training this Friday because STAR test is right around the corner. Our Unified Bulldogs robotics team, we also have a team going to the state meet. Kudos to Mrs. Beasley and Mrs. Pagnozzi, our FA teachers, and we have some lead students going as well. We have one team going. We have 6 students, and super excited about that. Our Wylie Junior High musical, Anastasia, is going to be the performance this year, and it's on the 27th and 28th at the PAC. It was supposed to be this weekend, and our Mrs. Reed, our theater arts teacher, her mother passed away, and she was out for a bit, and kudos to the high school. They've sent some folks over, and they've really helped our kids while Miss Reed was out, but we have postponed it about 2 weeks just to give it time to get in shape, and I've been watching practice a couple days a week, and it's coming together. Basketball finished tonight. I was at the West watching before I came here. Our girls were in Brownwood. Hey, our girls teams this year going into tonight, they had 44 combined wins. I don't think the girls had ever been above about 32 combined wins. It's by far the most successful girls basketball season we've ever had. The boys were right there, about to set a record as well. Maybe if they'd have gotten a win or two tonight, we would have been there, but they didn't quite pull it off. We had a day in December, and this had never happened before. Our 8A girls and our 7A girls both won a tournament on a Saturday. 8A won the Wylie tournament, 7A won the AISD tournament, and so for that day, we had the two best girls teams in the district, which was pretty exciting. A lot of runner-ups in tournaments this year, boys and girls. They got to the championship game and couldn't quite pull it off, but a lot of runner-ups. Really the most successful basketball season overall that we've ever had. Band and choir have UIL contests coming up. Our 7th annual Wylie East Junior High Art Walk. I don't have the date in front of you, but I know the date now. It is May the 7th. So those of you that have been, you know it's pretty awesome. It's always one of my favorite hours of the entire school year. We continue with our Acts of Kindness Club and our good stuff. They're going out. Hey, it's a pretty awesome place at Wylie East Junior High. Great things happen every day. Challenging things happen every day. Hey, we got 3 new students today. 3 newbies. Here they came today. So, but it's exciting, good stuff happening, and we appreciate you guys letting us do it. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, we are entering into just the busiest season, spring season, where all the sports are ending or starting, along with academics and so forth. So swim, it's not updated on your sheet, but they actually they qualified in 6 events for the state swim meet. So that was really exciting. 4 of them in dramatic fashion. There was a disqualification, as there should have been, and so our 2 relays rightfully earned the spot, 2nd place spot to go. And then the way swim works, there are some, after all the meets are done, there's some of those, not lottery, but what do you call them, when they get called up. There are times.
It's called a call-up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A call-up. I used the right words. Okay. So 2 of them got called up after our meet was over because they're times within the state. So we have 6 events. That's the most I think we've ever had to go to state. And so that is not this weekend, but the following weekend in Austin. Basketball, our Lady Bulldogs, last time I looked, are ranked number 12 in the state. They clinched the district championship Friday night. I don't normally call out individuals, but Joya Maroney celebrated scoring her 1,000th point. I think she actually hit it before Christmas, but we celebrated at the first home district game. Let's see. So girls district play ends tomorrow night. They travel to Memorial, and then the boys still have Memorial and Abilene Cooper left, with Abilene Cooper being the last home game. Powerlifting is in full swing. Wylie will host a huge qualifying meet just like they do every year on February 21st. And then soccer, our girls are 2-0 in district and our boys are 1-1 in district, and they're a lot of fun to watch. Band had 91 first division medals at their solo festival last week. The jazz band performed at the Butch Miles Jazz Festival in San Marcos last week. And 3 students earned outstanding soloist awards. The indoor drum line just earned first place at their first ever competition. Josh Howarth was a hire of ours, and he's been amazing with the drum line, just getting them into different competitions and different exposure along with the jazz band. The indoor guard, which is the color guard, moved up in classification this year and earned 4th place at their last competition. They're a lot of fun to watch. We're in vase season for art, and so 70+ works of art are getting hung and displayed at the Grace Museum for the Youth Art Month. Opening night is Thursday, February 19th from 4 to 7:30. And so I encourage you, if you want to go downtown, have a nice little dinner, walk around the Grace and look at some of our students' art work. And they're submitting pieces right now to vase, so we'll see what earns a place at state in the next couple of weeks. Wylie choir students competed in the regional solo and ensemble competition in January at ACU. Out of the 32 solo and 2 ensemble events, 26 earned a first division or superior rating, and will be advancing to the state competition in May, which is incredible. That's the most that Wylie choir's ever taken to state in the last 10 years. So congratulations to Miss Gerganis and her team, and then all of her students as well. UL Academics, of course, is knocking it out of the park. Mr. Dow and all of those coaches do such a good job. They decided to go to Brock in January, and then we'll host the Valentine Classic this Saturday here. So you'll see lots of school buses out front. The UIL Social Studies team won January's statewide virtual meet, finishing ahead of 117 other teams, and remain undefeated in Conference 5A this season. Individually, Canyon South claimed first place statewide for the third consecutive meet, outperforming more than 720 contestants. The state robotics meet, unified robotics meet that our junior high is going to, our robotics students were actually invited to go and run because they did such a great job here. It was impressive to the company that put that on, and so our kiddos will be there running that event for the unified team. And so Mr. Van is a rock star, and so he's really excited for his students to do that. FFA is in full stock show season, so they're showing animals and projects that they've created. They earn blue ribbons at the San Angelo Stock Show, and then they'll all travel all over Fort Worth, San Antonio, Houston, Austin, all the majors to show off their handiwork there. Student council, I'm really proud of them. There's a part of it, I actually was telling one of the assistant principals, this makes me a tad bit nervous because I'm so hands off, but they are hosting a school-wide dodgeball tournament.
Yes, we are so excited about it.
And again, y'all have met Miss Palacio and Miss Rimple. I completely trust them. And with them having that class period the past 2 years, they've been able to do really cool things. But they've created these subcommittees as student council should. And so this is completely student-led, student-ran. They've sent students to my office to plan and run things by me. The winning team gets to choose from a list of approved nonprofits here in town, and all the proceeds go to that nonprofit. It will be an activity period. You know, we're heavy on activity, pep rallies and all of that in the fall, but not much in the spring. So this will be a during the day activity.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it'll be $3. Okay?
Charge him 10.
All right.
Yeah, I'll pay for some tickets.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Our students were introduced to the 26-27 course guide last week, with course selections opening up soon for our students. We're really excited about the new courses. I think I'm going to go over that with y'all at board workshop and just kind of share those with you. And we still have some coming down the pike, and we're really excited about those as well. School Day SAT is on March 4th, and our students took the ASVAB on February 2nd, and then I think I get to talk to y'all right before we start STAR testing in April next time. On the back or on the second page, that's our current CCMR. I updated this today through a program. This is actually a Google sheet that I run the data on, but it has just made it so much easier to track students and chase students down. But one of the most significant things that we did this year is we brought in that dual credit AQR class. And we did it second semester, which actually was not as intentional as I wish it was as intentional as one of those. We weren't quite ready to pull the trigger on that first semester, so I said let's just wait till second semester so we can be ready, and it ended up being a great thing because we were able to move students that we could really track and see into that course. If you remember, we're calling it a pilot, because that's what you do in education when you're trying things, is you call it a pilot. And that is fully funded, not by the student, through McMurray University. Those students that complete that get a $1,000 scholarship to McMurray, automatic acceptance. And they're getting their 3 hours of dual credit. That's something I failed to mention to y'all when I was up here earlier. The other way for them to get college ready is they earn 3 hours of dual credit in either math or English, or 9 hours in any other course. And so that's one of the things that we did this semester. So you can see right now, if we stop if they all pass AQR and all the kids are on track, we're at 82.5%. And that group, that 16%, that are not on track, there's still ways for them. We're still trying with some of them. I think one thing that we're doing next year, our juniors that are registering for classes have been told that if they're not CCMR'd or on track for CCMR, meaning they're going to be in a dual credit math or English class, or they're in their final CTE course, which they'll earn their IBC in, then they will be placed in a college prep course. If the state approves the math one, then we will hold that course here. If they don't, it'll basically be a TSI prep course, and they'll be hit with the TSI pretty frequently. That's what we're seeing other school districts do. And then we're continuing to open up more dual credit options for our kiddos, so that they can obtain those hours as well. And then again, that pathway programming has just been huge for us to track students and to educate students on CCMR.
I will echo, she opened with the swim team. I've been around the whole swim program's life, and this was incredible. I mean, those kids competed so hard. You can't believe the energy in that building. There's not a seat to be had, and it's just crazy. The kids go root for their own teams, they go crazy, and have this many kids qualify for state competition, and really, fairly early in our 5A program. And Casey Pacheco's a rock star as far as working with those swimmers. He's just really good.
That's
So-
awesome.
That is awesome.
That's really cool.
Okay, bond projects.
Bond projects, we got some things happening. Just make sure you know Jenna's here tonight. I appreciate you coming, Jenna. She was up in Hanson earlier at the school board meeting and came down. And if at any point you need to add, or if y'all have a question for her, feel free to do so. Just some things that we have in place, and Coach Fetchy, just pipe in anytime you need to. We've got the baseball and softball fields in great shape. We've got the scoreboards, the covered seating, the fencing around the dugouts, the new bullpens. Missing anything there? Sound system. Sound system, which is gonna be nice.
New gravel around behind, so it's
Yeah, they dressed it up around the seating. Also, today, Coach Fetchy met with a gentleman to come by and do some evaluations, and on our gym bleachers, y'all know we've got some problems there. And so we're working on that. Hopefully a summer project that we'll be able to complete. The ag building is supposed to be completed soon. They're cleaning up. They passed a lot of inspections today. We'll be working towards getting moved in hopefully before March. March 1st, I think, is what they're hoping for. So we also, this is gonna involve a lot of people. Coach Fetchy, Reagan, folks at the high school, we're gonna have a 2-week shutdown of power at the high school. Well, you say that's not a big deal during the summer, but all of our phone system goes through the high school, all of our networking system. Door access, there's so many things that go through that. So we're working on coming up with a solution that will either really minimize that time down at the high school, or give us some other options for power generation or something like that. So that'll happen in, I think, February 23rd that we're having that meeting. The new elementary coming along, they're still thinking by May 1, that will be completed. To me, that looks like it's farther off than that, but they really feel good about that. The East Intermediate, they've got underground plumbing and electrical that's going in. At the high school, we've got an outdoor fitness gym pad that should be poured within the week. Parking lots will be going out for bid soon. We're gonna try to have that back in our hands so you can make some decisions at the March 2nd board meeting. We are continuing to look at the bus barn and possible expansion options there, and then starting to look at a golf building / area for practice, also at the high school. And at the junior high, the field house, West Junior High field house is completed, everything except the showers. And we're gonna take care of that this summer. So Questions?
Where'd you say that fitness pad was going?
It's down the right field line at the, outside the baseball fence. And it runs parallel for 38 feet to the, pole vault track runway, and they, I talked to Coach Cox, and he says nobody gets that far back on the pole vault. And if they do come, have a long run on that, that it will not interfere, cause it's about 5 foot off the runway, so.
Cool.
That's all I have.
All right. Okay, board planning workshop next week.
Yeah, next week it's gonna be here. A lot of things happening. We're gonna try to have a quick tour of the new buildings. Hadn't quite decided about what time. If we started it at noon, we could get that over with and then come back and eat. I don't know if that's good for y'all or bad for y'all. Does everybody think they're gonna be there by noon? Okay, we might do that. That way it's clean. You tell the people who are coming, we're gonna leave at noon, and then we'll be back quick enough for them to, get in their vehicles and head out, so.
Do you want us to park somewhere different?
No,
or
I
will
think
park
y'all,
there enough?
Miller and I had a conversation about, at the training center, that is like, I don't know if that's the best option, Mr.
It's a secondary
Amonette could
pickup
probably
option.
tell, that there's several of them that love to park over there instead of going through the line.
Several, it's like a lot, it's more than several.
Yes, it fills the parking lot, let's put it that way. We will be moving their cheese on that day, they won't be happy with that. I think I'm gonna try to help us park on the north side of that building a little bit. So.
Okay.
But we will have a completed agenda and get that out to you as soon as possible. We gotta post it tomorrow.
I was gonna say, same.
So the committee be there at noon as well for that tour?
I think so.
I'll send an email.
Okay.
I'll send
At the training center, right by West Junior, 4202 Beltway.
Sounds good.
Okay, March school board meeting.
Yep, and as we mentioned, the regular board meeting date would be during spring break, so we historically move that up to the second if that's acceptable. Okay.
All right. Executive session.
Executive session. Thank y'all
Thank
for
y'all.
coming tonight.
Thank you.
Jenna?
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
See you around.
Thanks.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.